Welcome to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. I'm your host, James Bowers, and together we'll work with business leaders and industry experts to dive into the misunderstood business of cybersecurity and compliance to learn how to start making money from being secure and compliant. Welcome to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Cash in the Cyber Sheets. I'm your host, James Bowers, Chief Security and Compliance Architect here at Input Output. Very happy to have you back here with us today. And as we are getting into audit season, getting deep in the trenches of actually digging into security controls, lots of policies, I wanted to go over some issues that it's becoming much more of an issue and exploding pretty quickly because of AI. The issues that AI is causing with data management and how this can affect you on your audits and how it could affect your compliance and really your violations, your compliance violations. So I want to jump into those things today that we're actually seeing with clients, actually seeing in audits, and talk a little bit about how you can make sure that you're protecting yourself against these issues and not falling into the same problems. Before diving into anything, please click on that link below. Go ahead and subscribe. And if there are things that you are having trouble with your compliance program and would like to dive into, please go ahead and leave us some comments. And also, always like to celebrate the success. So go ahead and leave us those things that are working well for you. And we'll be able to share that with everybody. Make compliance a little bit easier. Okay, so let's dive into this. I don't think we need to talk at all about how AI is becoming a big thing. It's AI's in everything, and it is becoming more and more of an issue. Issue's probably not the right word, but becoming more advanced, offering a lot more benefits, introducing some really scary scenarios, and it's doing it awfully quickly. What we're seeing here as we're doing our audits, as we're checking against lots of different compliance standards, FTC safeguards rule, ISO 27001, SOC 2, just so many different, alphabet soup out there of compliance standards. We're seeing some major issues with how AI is causing problems. And what's wild is it's being completely overlooked. So here's the issue. Here's a few issues. Number one is everybody wants to use AI. It makes things much easier. I can draft some great content. I can draft a great email, some responses, marketing. If I'm just stuck with something, I can have it help me get unstuck and continue along. And that's all great. The problem is that a lot of companies are not setting up corporate accounts. They're not treating this as another application. They're treating it as something completely separate. And everybody in the company is creating their own account. They all have their own, say, free GPT or free Gemini or Grok or whatever you're using. And everybody's using it in their own way. They're supplementing, they're asking questions, and it gets to be a major issue because now everybody in the company has their own account that's not being managed by the company. And that means that there's no way to manage what information is being provided. So if people in the company are sharing company contacts and client details to draft emails or to draft responses, or they're sharing code to be able to work through different code issues, or they're sharing marketing information or marketing strategies to be able to help formulate better ones. This introduces a lot of problems because especially if there's any confidential data, if there's, God forbid, any PII, PHI, anything that's private, that's now in that personal account and it's completely unregulated by the company. And normally, if it's a personal account, there's no restrictions on how the data can be used. So everything that you're providing to the models can be used to help train the models. So a lot of companies would definitely agree that they don't want their data being used to help train AI, which then everybody can use. That's kind of essentially giving all of your um, intellectual property over for free. And that's a whole separate discussion. Not digging into all of that, but I think you get the point here that I'm talking about is with so many different personal accounts, there's no control over it. There's no regulation. Now, this in itself, that's a major issue, but this also causes major concerns on the compliance side. If we're sharing any customer data, we're sharing any client data or client IP or PII with these language models, with the AI tools, very likely we could be in violation of not only any of our contractual requirements, but we could also be violating any of our regulatory requirements. And if we've done this, say, with big data sets, maybe we have a big set of clients and we want the AI to scan through and say, who's having a birthday, draft me some great messages, review what they've bought with us, draft us some personalized messages we could send out to everybody. Really cool thing that you can do with AI. But now this is in a large language model that was not agreed to. And that in itself could be considered even a data breach, a data incident, to where now if you're not reporting it, creates a whole nother layer of regulatory issues. It's it's like an onion with just all of these different layers that just continues to create issues. That's the side of it where we look at there's no control over how to use AI, what AI to use, everybody using their own personal accounts. What you definitely want to get to in the company is creating enterprise accounts, specifying how people can use that. We'll get into that in a second. The other issue is even when the AI is controlled, even when there may be guardrails on what you can use, how you can use it, it's changing at such an incredible pace. And other platforms are integrating the AI at such an incredible pace. And even certain platforms like Microsoft keep turning on or keep integrating Copilot and other tools to be able to push their new IP. It introduces a lot of issues to where even if we were trying to maintain good data segregation, we don't want this data scanned, that the AI tools may just gain access to it because of how third parties, how other applications, how we're turning things on and off, and how it's ultimately getting access, which then leads into all of those issues we just talked about with contractual violations, regulatory violations, privacy issues, and the potential for having to perform privacy notifications and really treat it like a data incident. It's an absolute mess. So, with all that said, what are some things that you can do to help lock this down, to help at least start getting ahead of this, to start getting control of it, over it? One thing that you want to absolutely do is create an AI policy for your company. And before you can do that, you need to identify exactly what tools, what AI tools you want to utilize. And this shouldn't be any different than your typical supplier process. Look at this as another supplier, as another software application. It just happens to be AI. But just like with a supplier or application, you would look at what do they have access to? How do we restrict it? How are we going to delete data that they no longer need? How are we going to restrict data access? You need to do all of these same things with every AI tool that you want to utilize. That can be daunting. So, what I would recommend is picking a few, one, two, maybe three, and starting from there to create the guidelines. Here's what we're going to use, here's how we're going to use it. You want to also identify what information can be utilized in those data models, in those AI tools. What type of things can we share? What type of things can we ask? So you want to be very clear about what information you can and can't use. So you're going to need to have a good data classification policy to make sure people understand the different types of data: confidential, restricted, PII, PHI, all of those different things, and how they'll be able to use it. And then you want to discuss how we're going to use the tools, exactly what they can be used for, how they can be integrated. And as a best practice, especially now, is as much as you can, you want to air gap logically, physically. You want to create air gaps, segregation between data sets. That way, if the AI gets turned on in a platform, or it starts to overreach, or there's just some sort of configuration issue, there's so many different hands in these cookie jars. Whatever the case is, it helps protect the sensitive data, the PII, the PHI, so that way you don't have a data incident. Because ultimately, that's one of the big things we want to avoid. And also segregating it from any very sensitive company information like IP that could hurt your marketability in your market position. So, those are the big things today. Recapping, you want to very much get rules around what AI can be used, what tools can be used, how people can use it, and to help get a handle on that, you should definitely have corporate accounts if you're going to allow AI and have people use that. That way, you've got much more control on how the data is managed, how the data is utilized, and if any of those employees leave your organization, they're not keeping that all in their personal account. It still stays with you. That also gives you a lot of visibility on what data, how it's being used, and making sure that you're not having a data incident inadvertently, silly rabbit, that you're not having a data incident by sharing people's PII, PHI, and other sensitive data that shouldn't be in the large language models or other AI tools. If you're having trouble with this, if it seems daunting, you are absolutely not alone. Please reach out to us. Would be very happy to sit down with you, help see how you're using AI, help see how to make sure that you're using it correctly, that everything's locked down so that you can stay productive, secure, and compliant. Everybody, thank you very much for listening today, and until next time. Thanks for joining us today. Don't forget, click that subscribe button, leave us a review, and share it with your network. Remember, security and compliance aren't just about avoiding risk. They're about unlocking your business's full potential. So stay secure, stay compliant, and we'll catch you next week on Cash in the Cyber Sheets. Goodbye for now.
Life goes up and it goes down. Life goes up and it goes